The next time you see that movement in the corner of your eye, or a sound that has no source, consider something else, where the lanterns fade. They sat at the end of the world, wrapped in the bruised velvet of twilight. Dr. Shudder wore a coat lined with fireflies. Mrs. Glass had no shadow. She traded it in long ago for something she would not name. Her hands shimmered faintly, like candle smoke caught in mirrors, and where she walked, glass sometimes formed beneath her feet, unbidden. They had returned again. Behind them, the doorways between realms sighed closed. It left behind no mark, only the faint scent of burnt sage and memory. Before them, a crooked house, long abandoned by the living, waited in the clearing like a ghost that hadn't yet accepted it was dead. Inside, the fire crackled, though no one lit it. "Do you feel it?" Mrs. Glass asked, slipping her hands into Dr. Shudder's. "This world has shifted again. The air doesn't remember our names." Dr. Shudder smiled faintly. He always smiled faintly, like someone who had once been buried alive and learned to enjoy the breeze. "It never does. But the ghosts remember." She leaned into him, head resting against his shoulder. His coat rustled softly as the fireflies stirred in recognition. "Tell me a story," she whispered. He looked into the fire. It flickered blue, then green, then bone white. "Do you remember the Cavern of Borrowed Names?" he asked. "Where the wind speaks with a child's voice and the ceiling bleeds letters," she said, her voice quiet. "Yes." "They tried to keep us out, wove gates from forgotten words, bartered truth in exchange for time." "You lied to the gatekeeper," she murmured, lips curling into a wry smile. "You told it we were harmless." "I did, and we were." Mrs. Glass laughed, a sound like wine glass crackling. "You kissed me before we stepped through the syllable threshold." "I thought we would die," he said. "That's why it mattered," she said. Silence pulsed around them. The house crackled and creaked with anticipation. Mrs. Glass reached into her coat and pulled out a small object wrapped in torn lace. A finger bone, inscribed with ink that shifted when looked at too long. "From the mirror market," she said. "The vendor said it came from a man who remembered the future. His thoughts were unbearable. He scratched them into his bones to stop dreaming." Dr. Shudder turned it in his palm. "And now we carry it. Poor man. His dreams are quieter in your pocket." They stared into the fire. Outside, the wind dragged something heavy through the trees. Mrs. Glass whispered, "Do you think we're still human?" "No," he said, "and yes." "How much longer can we come back here before we're only shadows wearing skin?" He didn't answer right away. Then, "As long as I remember your name." She closed her eyes. "Say it." "Mrs. Glass," he said, and the room shifted. Wood groaned, windows fogged, and the fire flickered into shapes that resembled flowers and unspoken words. She breathed in as if the sound of her name gave her body weight again. He kissed her fingers, one by one. "Your turn," he said. She smiled like a secret unsealing. "Do you remember the town that dreamed of itself?" she asked. He did. Where each street ended in a mirror, where no one knew they were real. "Until we walked in," she said, "and they looked at us and woke up. Half of them wept, the other half turned to dust. And we danced in the square while their memories collapsed. You were radiant," he murmured. "You wore that crown of reflections. You said something beautiful then, though I forgot what." She leaned closer, lips brushing his ear. "I said, if we're monsters, let's be beautiful ones." Outside, the sky cracked open. Not lightning. Something worse. Something watching. Neither looked. They were too consumed by each other. Dr. Shudder placed the bone in the hearth. It burned silently, emitting no smoke. Only a faint sound, like a clock forgetting how to tick. The shadows around them thickened. Their time grew near. Mrs. Glass took his face in her hands. "When we cross over next time," she said, "remind me to leave my reflection behind. It's been trailing me. It's grown talons." "I'll handle it," he said, drawing her into an embrace. "I love your lies," she said. "They're always half true," he replied. She smiled against his chest. "That's the dangerous half." And then they vanished. Again. Just like that. The fire died. The wind returned. And the house, empty and silent, waited for their next story. Because they always came back. They couldn't help it. They loved each other too much to stay gone. Some say they were never real. Some say they still walk between this world and others, carrying tokens of the dead and dreams too strange for sleep. But those who have met them, those who have heard the rustle of fireflies in an empty room, they know Dr. Shudder and Mrs. Glass are not gone. They are simply elsewhere, waiting for the next story together.